The socialist running for New York City mayor is expected to meet with Democratic Party leaders Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries this week after what appears to be a very successful breakfast discussion with Democrats on Capitol Hill yesterday.
I think he's a very personable, smart young man.
It's just beautiful to have someone who is so authentic. You know, that money cannot buy that.
Zoran Mamdani is an incredible talent. It's hard not to be won over.
You have AOC and Zahran. That's a winning combo.
This guy is not a communist. He's not a socialist. He's an advocate for small c capitalism.
New York Assemblyman Matt Slater, who currently serves with Mamdani, joins me now. Assemblyman, thank you so much for joining us. A lot of people talking about him. You actually know him. And you say that a Mamdani win in New York City wouldn't just impact New Yorkers. It would impact the entire country. How so?
Well, 100%. I mean, a Mamdani win here is going to propel a communist agenda all across this country. And that's why AOC, who I grew up with, had brought him down to Washington, because Democrats all across the country are concerned not just about his radical agenda, but his radical record. If you look at what he's done in the Assembly, where I currently serve, he stood on the state legislature floor and he actually referred to his colleagues as his comrades. When you look at the legislation that he sponsored, it is right out of Karl Marx's playbook. And so I think Democrats across the country are very concerned about what this will mean for not just their own self, but for the entire country.
Yeah, calling your colleagues comrades is a unique wording choice, to say the least. And you're right. How many mayoral candidates get an entire congressional breakfast with a Congressman Robert Garcia from California on the other side of the country, saying he was energetic and the reception was welcoming, and he said, proud of our Democratic nominee, let's win. So you know New York politics very well. Do you think that he will win in November? What is your assessment on where things will go? Well,
the latest poll that we saw yesterday, there's a Harris poll that came out showing a three-way race, and it's separated by 1 point across the board. Even our Republican candidate, Curtis Sliwa, has an opportunity here. And I think people are really looking at the fact that Mamdani is just, again, dangerously unqualified. When you see what he has tried to sponsor in the state legislature, when you see what his Marxist and his communist platforms are, people all across the city are recognizing that he cannot be a viable option.
Are there any policies that Mamdani has promoted that we don't know about that we should?
Well, my favorite one that I've found is the fact that he sponsored legislation that would have the government restrict the amount of miles you can drive in your car. Oh. He's also sponsored legislation that would require sex education for kindergartners. I mean, this is the length and the radical agenda that he's had in the state assembly. And by the way, he's been there for 5 years and he's only passed 4 bills. The most significant one is allowing alcohol in a museum. So, you know, he really hasn't taken the job seriously. And it really, I think, questions his ability to be the mayor of the greatest city in the world.
Okay, so obviously Mamdani's core belief system is exactly what he's telling it is. He's not hiding it. But do you think that he's somebody that would moderate their positions if he is elected into office? Sometimes you could be very idealistic until reality sets in.
I don't think so. And we saw his meeting recently with CEOs here in New York City, and he was very clear that he's not walking back his policies or his beliefs. And so he's already showing us the fact that he is an ideologue. He has no intention of walking back his radical policy whatsoever. And yes, he can be very charming, and you know, when he's here, he can charm the birds out of the trees. But at the end of the day, he has to be able to perform, and he has to be able to deliver for New York. And that agenda, that communist agenda, and the president called him a communist the other day, and I think he's 100% right, that just won't fly.
Yeah, but what about that soundbite that we just heard, calling him not a communist, a lower C capitalist? What do you think about that?
I mean, clearly they're not paying attention to what he's tried to accomplish here. When you have somebody stand on the floor of the state legislature and refer to his colleagues as comrades, I mean, what more do we need here? And when you look at all the other items that he's tried to push, the government-run grocery stores, seizing the means of production, I mean, these are all straight out of Karl Marx's playbook. This is a communist through and through.
Yeah, and you are right about the fact that this idea could actually spread to other parts of the country. There's a candidate in Minneapolis who's a socialist who's getting a ton of attention right now, running for mayor there. Do you really think that this is the direction the Democratic Party should be going? I mean, this really is where the energy is. But after the 2024 election, where the whole country seems to have moderated, why are they moving further to the left?
Well, I think the fact that you have AOC, who I like to call Sandy from the suburbs, bringing him to Washington. This is going to help propel her for the 2028 election. There's no question about it. And it also is just going to green light Democrats all across the country to embrace this communist agenda, because that is where the energy, as you just said, is going. And so that's a very dangerous proposition. Again, not just for New York City, not just for New York State, but the entire country.
Yeah, this is a nationwide story. Okay, so when it comes to Mayor Adams, back to New York City, he does have a lot of money. He just announced a $1.5 million fundraising haul. That is more than Mamdani and Cuomo have. And apparently he's going to get some endorsements from law enforcement unions today. So there's still a chance for him?
Well, listen, again, the polling that came out just the other day shows that the race is tight. It's a one-point race across the board, depending on how you see it. A three-candidate race is 1 point, and then when you see head-to-head, I think everyone has an opportunity here. I think the field is still wide open. But it really comes down to who's going to be able to get their message out and who's going to be able to resonate with voters. And at the end of the day, when you look at Mamdani's communist platform, I just think that that's going to be wholly rejected by New Yorkers, even here in New York City. And we've seen this because the New York State Assembly delegation for Republicans, we have the largest New York City delegation in 40 years for the Republican Party.
So there are things that Republicans should feel positive about when it comes to New York. We'll see
no question. It's because they're rejecting the